the object comes, that green thing, why it would have been launched, I do not know, but they got to get that person up out of here now.
Now, I know on this channel, I talk about a lot of serious things, really heavy things. You know, you might use this channel as a bit of escapism, but most likely you use it as background noise on the drone phase of Six Siege, or while you're studying or drawing art or something like that. That's why I'm reading a script on my screen right now and not even looking at the camera, because you don't care. You're not even watching the video. Okay, now I've got your attention. I know I talk about a lot of negative things, right? I know that. I want to talk about something positive today. So this is why I'm going to be talking about the very heartfelt story that will fill you with joy and happiness of a bunch of crypto bros throwing a certain weapon from Saints Row. I cannot tell you what that weapon is. Here is the image. You'll probably be able to discern what that weapon is. Throwing those onto the WNBA courts. So the first recorded incident I could find of the Phantom throwing was on the 29th of July during a match between the Golden State Valkyries and the Atlanta Dream. Now, it was a shock to nobody. I have zero knowledge of basketball, zero knowledge. I'm still trying to get over me talking about the War of the Worlds film, and someone called me out saying that I got the names wrong. It wasn't George Orwell, it was Orson Welles that did the radio reading. The parasitical subreddit was eating good that day. So as the Valkyries are attacking, you know, trying to get a clear shot, or whatever the basketball terms are, dribbling or whatever, you might notice in this video something slides across the floor. And even at this point, the commentators of the game, they have no idea what this is.
Something flies on the court, actually, from the crowd. The officials will say they will continue play.
The point carries on being played, but once the ball goes out of court, play stops, and then the judges or referees, again, like, bro, I don't watch basketball. Do you think I watch any kind of sport apart from maybe esports? I don't even watch that, to be fair. So basically, they start to discuss what to do with the object. Since, you know, this is the first time this happened, we get to see people's reactions to the stunt. And to be fair, giving the commentators credit, they actually give a really good reaction to the camera, showing it. I'll just let it play out.
Why it would have been launched, I do not know, but they got to get that person up out of here now.
And security is on the way. And there is just absolutely no room for any of that type of activity.
Yeah, and no one's picked the object up yet. You guys, oh my gosh, okay.
If you couldn't make out what it was blurring, it was a green, though. I'm not sure why it was green. Most or bad dragons or whatever, there are a multitude of colors. Green, that just reminds me of Shrek's. But the thing is, this was not a lone incident. This was a movement. This man started the movement. This isn't actually the first time that has been thrown onto the court of a WNBA game. On the 1st of August, the Golden State Valkyries were playing again, this time facing off against the Chicago Sky. And wouldn't you know it, but another, and again, it's green, hit the court.
Got a whistle away from the basketball.
Now, the players, understandably, were actually quite angry by this. You had Sophie Cunningham, who was a basketball player for Indiana Fever, basically tweeted out pretty bluntly, "Stop throwing on the court. You're going to hurt one of us." It's not even like, you know, you'd expect like a really long tweet of like, this is just so inappropriate. You're putting people in danger. Someone could trip on it. It's just stop throwing on the court. You're going to hurt one of us. Now, the problem is, what Sophie did was really stupid. She acknowledged the problem. So now you've got a lot of people that think, wait a minute. If I throw a onto the court, I'm going to be famous. So 4 days later, on the 6th of August, when the Los Angeles Sparks were facing against the Indiana Fever, another was thrown into the court, but this one had a target. This was the Agent 47 of because its target was Sophie Cunningham.
Oh, look out. Something just came onto the floor. Got an object that just flew in as the free throw was being made. And it looked like that hit a player too.
So at the minute, you've had like 4 separate incidents of people throwing these onto the court, but apparently there were more attempts to even throw them, but they were caught by security. So the actual assassination attempt so far by is actually currently unknown. Now, unsurprisingly, these stunts have got quite a lot of backlash from the WNBA and other people involved with the organization. Now, to be fair, okay, I'm going to say throwing a to the court. It can be pretty funny, but it does also pose obvious safety concerns because, again, like I said earlier, it's lubricated. I'm not sure whether they were pre-lubed or not. I've got no idea. But again, someone could genuinely trip on them because you're not always watching your footwork when you're playing basketball. But also at the same time, if these are like solid plastic, you get hit by one, that's basically a missile. And then as well, which I'll get into a little bit later, there have been cases where people have tried to throw these dildos for a funny and it's ended up not reaching its intended target and instead hitting someone in the crowd. I get basketball is an indoor sport mostly, but like it blows me away how close people are actually able to sit to the court. Like these people need to be vetted if they can actually be trustworthy and not just run onto the pitch throwing out dildos, like doing a 360 dildo scope or something. I mean, if you go to British or European football matches, there's actually a massive gap in between where the crowd can sit and where the game actually happens because, you know, most British football fans over the age of 40, they have a collective IQ of 7 because their brain cells have slowly deteriorated from a diet consisting entirely of Guinness and hitting their wife. And of course, with the internet being the internet, did they stand up and say, guys, let them play basketball? Stop this. Stop it now. No, of course they didn't. They embraced it. Like you even had Poly Market and they were hosting these markets where you could bet whether in the next game a dildo would be thrown on the court or not. Some even let you... Some of them even letting you guess the color of the dildo. Imagine if you picked green, guys. You could have won so much money. And there was a guy on Twitter that bet $2,500 on green, and that actually resulted in him winning $20,000. Now, I'm going to dub this Dildo Gate. I think that's a very mature, concise way to address this situation. And during this Dildo Gate, there have been 2 arrests that have been made. The first is a 23-year-old man called Delba Carver. He was arrested by College Park, Georgia police in connection to the dildo being thrown at the Golden State Valkyries and Atlanta Dream game. Now, he's facing counts of criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, and public indecency. I'm not sure whether he walked in with the dildo between his butt cheeks. I'm not really sure where public indecency comes in there. And secondly, an 18-year-old by the name of Caden Lopez. Now, he was arrested after attempting to throw a dildo onto the court. However, his aim actually wasn't that good, and he ended up hitting a 9-year-old girl and her uncle. The court documents said that video footage shows Lopez sitting in his seat. He retrieves the green dildo from his sweater front pocket and then throws the sex toy forward and then stands up and leaves the area. It just blows me away that like a 9-year-old girl and her uncle were hit by this like missile. Their night was ruined. Girl probably burst into tears. The kid got arrested, and then some moron on Twitter made 20 grand off it. Now, Lopez actually said that he's like really sorry for what he did. I'm sure he filmed it in the hotel room, the same one that Logan Paul rented out. And his excuse also was that he got wrapped up in an internet meme. I mean, what kind of excuse is that? I got wrapped up in an internet meme. It's like, oh, I saw the troll face, you know, le man who le tricks people, and then I ran 5 people over in my Tesla. The trolled. So he saw people throwing dildos. He wanted to join in, purchase one the day before, and then snuck into the game. I mean, I'm sure he's very sorry. He might cry in the court, but apparently the Arizona courts want to charge him with disorderly conduct, assault, public display of sexual material, and that last charge is actually a felony. They have both been released from prison, but their punishment at the minute actually hasn't been completed. Carver's been released on a bond for an undisclosed amount of money, and Lopez will be having his second court hearing on the 21st of August. Now, obviously, that wasn't all of the Knights of the 9 dildos. There were still a lot more, but police actually haven't been able to identify them. So I guess they put on their hood, took off like Batman, and we will never know who they are. I'm going to name these people the Phantom Dildos. I feel like this is a critical video, the amount of times I've said dildo. Now, if any of these guys are caught, they can face up to a year ban from the WNBA courts and also subject to legal punishment by local authorities. Now, what did the internet think? The apathetic internet. They found it funny. Of course, they found it funny. I mean, again, you are having professional tier games being completely ruined by people throwing sex toys onto the court. Again, the situation with like, you know, the child and the uncle being hit with one, that's not funny. But just the context of this very serious game and just seeing a flying dildo, it's a little bit funny. I don't condone it, but it's a little bit funny. And just to show you that we are living in a literal Black Mirror episode, Donald Trump got involved. What did he do? Did he go to Truth Social to make a big statement how unfair this was and how this is like ruining like a good American game with these unfunny pranks? No, he posted a photoshopped image of himself on top of the White House throwing a dildo onto the court. Oh my God, we are living in actual satire. You guys remember when like Obama was president and he just had that like poster going around that just said hope? Yeah, just have that with Trump, but throwing the dildo onto the pitch. Now, I'm not really sure where to put this, but while researching the video, I actually came across an article from The Guardian, which is a UK newspaper. And oh my God, if this is not a sign that mainstream media is completely out of touch, they went with this title: the trolling of WNBA games with sex toys is skibbity brain rot writ large. It's replaced meaning with noise. Like, I do not know who The Guardian is trying to appeal to with those buzzwords. The people that would understand it are on Discord. Like, your main audience are like center-left people in their 40s sipping on their espresso in the morning while they sell paintings. Like, you skibbity brain. No one would get that. No one would get that. I think the article is a very good read, though, because it's someone that is, like, obviously not chronically online, LARPing as someone that is chronically online. I mean, they even use, like, Guy Debord to analyze Skibbity Toilet. And that guy was a French philosopher and filmmaker, by the way. Now, in a twist that everyone probably expected at some point, no, it's not Aiden Ross getting involved. Don't worry about that. Like, thank God for once he's not being involved. But crypto is involved instead. Now, these stunts have apparently had a much larger message than just being like, you know, a dumb way to grab attention. There was a crypto coin group called Green Dildo Coin, and they actually came out and claimed that they were the ones that organized these stunts. Basically, they admitted that they knew that if they launched this coin and they didn't get any attention, it'd just be hidden among the masses. Like, you've seen Pumped Up Fun. You've seen the funny little green bird fella coin. No one cares about him anymore. He fell off. There's probably like a white little green bird fella and a gray little green bird fella. Like, there's probably been so many since then, because there are so many coins that are launched that it's so easy for them to get hidden. And apparently, this group had two choices: hack into someone's Twitter or YouTube account, which many crypto coins have done, or hijack the women's basketball as a means to get their coin out there. They even put out this statement in an interview saying, "We didn't do this because we dislike women's sports, or like some of the narratives that are trending right now are ridiculous. Creating disruption at games is like, it happens in every single sport, right? We've seen it in the NFL, we've seen it in hockey, you know, fans doing random things to more or less create attention. We know that in order to get a voice in the space, we had to go out and do some viral stunts to save us from having to pay that influencer cabal, sacrifice our souls and the fate of our project, more or less." So they're basically saying they didn't want to pay Jake Paul 20 grand to promote this coin. So instead, they're going to organize throwing dildos at a basketball game. I mean, all right, you know what? To be fair, in retrospect, that's probably better than giving money to Jake Paul. So, you know what? Fair enough. Now, if you also remember, I mentioned earlier that guy that guessed the color green and he won $20,000. Yeah, isn't that crazy? One guy bet and he won 20,000. He's the founder. Of course, he's the fucking founder. I used to pray. This is what every crypto company does. It's like, whoa, you open Twitter. Oh my, that guy made money. So much money. Oh my God, that guy made so much money. Wow. I will now invest in Green Dildo Coin. It's just obvious they like pump money into their own company to make it look like it's legitimate, and you could also be that rich. His username is Lieutenant Daldo Rain, which is obviously a sex toy, which is like a twist inspired on Brad Pitt's character, Lieutenant Aldo Rain from Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. And also he's been quote tweeting the official Green Dildo. God. I'm pushing 30 and I'm talking about green dildos for 20 minutes to pay my bills. What happened? No, look, no, actually, what happened? No, what actually happened? What happened? Everything was going so good. What actually, oh my God. Dude, there are people that live like next door to me and they probably have like a normal 9-to-5 office job. What happened? But anyway, this, you know, 20 grand man, the luckiest man in the world, it's the founder. Like, you can see there's articles like calling him an asshole, and he quote tweets them saying they're calling me an asshole, like when they're actually calling the company itself bad. There's one guy in the replies even saying it's almost like you know something. And according to The Athletic, when he was asked to explain the purpose of the meaning behind the Green Dildo coin, he gave a 15-minute speech repeating Lieutenant Aldo Rain's speech from Inglourious Bastards.
The name's Lieutenant Daldo Rain, and I'm putting together a special team. And for that, I need me some degenerates. I ain't talking just any old degenerate. I'm talking hundreds of dip-buying, shit-posting, sleep-deprived sons of bitches. Now, y'all might have heard the rumors that the true bull market's about to kick off. Well, I got news for you. We ain't waiting. we're gonna push that sumbitch early. We're gonna collectivize on X, load up our arsenal, and once we're organized like a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we gonna do one thing only. Printing green dildos.
My name is Lieutenant Aldo Raines. I'm looking for some degenerates. Now, a lot of people have speculated. Sorry, I'm still getting over that speech. It was just absolute cinema. So a lot of people have speculated whether the green dildo coin were actually behind the stunts or whether they've basically just snuck in and capitalized on a string of random events and actually made it into a canon event. I assume it'd be the latter because crypto bros usually don't want to leave the house, because if you threw a dildo on the court, that would require you leaving the house. So they might have just snuck in after these random events and tried to capitalize on it. But again, that 15-minute speech from Inglourious Bastards that was posted on the 28th of July, and the first reported incident of a dildo being thrown on the court was the 29th of July. So this is either some like insane prediction, or they actually did organize this and they're now reaping what they sowed. I'm so happy I've got through this video and you've all been able to hear that speech. That's amazing. My name is Lieutenant Aldo Raines. I'm looking for some degenerates. If you got a Discord link, click the link down in the description.